If you are one of the Finebaum faithful, you're in luck. Today, I am joined by Mark Kubiak and John Hayes, two of the producers of the Finebaum Show. You've probably seen them in the control room giving you some of their sports wisdom 5 days a week. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
They're going to have to share Mike. They're super pumped about it. Guys, the show has really grown in popularity since the launch of the SEC Network. How did each of you get involved with the show?
Well, I will start because I'm holding the mic.
Yeah,
so,
good start.
I was working in the building before, and when the SEC Network launched, I was approached, asked if I'd be interested in this, and I really knew nothing about it. So I said sure, and I went in and I sat in. Paul was doing the show in the radio room here, and I sat in for like 3-4 weeks and just listened to it, and it was something different, you know. And I was laughing, and I'm like, this could be pretty fun, you know, the radio show on TV and Paul and the characters and everybody with it. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to do it, and that was, what, 3.5 years ago? So that's how I got in.
Okay.
John?
Pass it down.
I have a similar story about how unique it was and how that's why I was drawn to it. So I was a production assistant in Bristol in the ESPN audio department. And we brought a guy named Paul Finebaum onto our roster. And I honestly had never heard of him before. And we got a chance to go in. And as a production assistant, I decided to run the radio board and screen the calls. And it was the season of 2013 where Jameis Winston met Auburn in the championship game.
Why do we have to bring that up?
Came up
What's the deal?
It's facts. I'm sorry here. And it was one of the most memorable football seasons I ever had, because I just enjoyed the show so much, Monday through Friday, talking football, the characters, the callers. And growing up in Philadelphia, I know what sports passion is about. So I could relate to it. So ESPN made the decision to make it a simulcast, and I said, let's do this. And moved down to Charlotte, and here we are doing the show 4 years later.
3 to 7. Let's call a spade a spade. This is a long show. It's on 5 days a week. That's a lot of content. What makes this show able to be on that much?
Great question. And it's the unpredictability of what we do.
Okay.
You know, so we can come out and we'll book, John will book 4 or 5 guests, and you know, we'll have different concepts and ideas, and within 5 minutes we know it's going to be completely different. You know, somebody will call, something will happen, breaking news. It's just always being on and being able to adjust to things on the fly that kind of makes the show fun and unique. When you go through and you get in that room, and from 2:30 to 7, we need a half hour to get things together. But for that time, we have an idea, but you run with it. Yeah. You know, so that's what I think.
Yeah. No, it's a reality TV show. That's why I like it.
A reality TV show.
Yes, it is.
Great point.
And honestly, it's gotten to the point where I don't like to book taped interviews because I want everything to happen live on the show.
Right.
So what we like to do is at 3 o'clock, every person who turns on the TV is getting the same experience we're getting. Same experience that Paul's getting. Hey, we're here. It's live. We're hanging out for the next 4 hours. You can call. We've got these guest scheduled. What do you want to talk about? And
it allows the viewer to be more involved in a capacity that they can't get on many other shows.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You can't get it anywhere, and that's why we scroll the tweets.
Right.
If you're nervous to call to talk to Paul, you can tweet, because we look at every single tweet that comes in at Finebaum throughout the show. We don't miss one. So when people are out there and they're like, oh, I'm going to send Finebaum a tweet, and he'll probably never see it. No, you're going to see the tweet.
There's no other show that on ESPN every day that the fans can interact with as much as this show.
Exactly.
Whether it's through tweets or calls or whatever. So that's what makes it fun.
And obviously one of the most appealing parts of the show are the callers. What is that process? When someone calls into the show, what gets them on air?
So we have a production assistant who works on the show. That's how I mentioned when I started with ESPN Radio. That's what I was doing.
Right.
And they simply pick up the phone and say, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And if you can nail that part, believe it or not, some people can't.
Oh, no.
We ask them what they want to talk about. And if the topic's good, a lot of people say, Alabama football. Well, what specifically do you want to talk about with Alabama football? You're not just going to get on the show by saying, I don't talk about Alabama football. The offense. Well, what else do you got? And if it's not a great conversation, if you're not making any points, it's like, well, think about it, give us a call back. But if somebody calls and says, we want to talk about Jalen Hurts, is he going to be the starting quarterback next year? 2 is pretty good. We want to talk to Paul about that. Boom. You're on the board, you're in line, and you're going to get on the show because you clearly know what you're talking about. But then there's this whole other issue, and that is the regular callers, the people who have been calling Paul for 30 years, who they don't have to tell us who they are,
they're VIP.
Where they're calling from, what they want to talk about. Their name just gets on the board.
Sometimes the callers, the regulars call in, and they'll just turn it. You know, they won't talk sports. Sometimes they do, but that's what keeps everybody on their toes.
But again, that's what adds to the content that keeps you guys on air for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is your favorite caller?
Wow. My personal favorite, just because he likes to go back and forth with us, is Larry from Shelby.
Okay, Larry from Shelby.
Larry from Shelby's great. He comes on. He's always got energy. He's just he's a
You
a
can
guy.
count on him.
Yeah, you can count on him. He's
Reliable
great.
Larry.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm really
John?
intrigued by this.
This is a difficult question. Larry's on my short list,
Okay.
and I'm trying to think as far as who would be next in line. There's somebody that I really like that you probably won't like is Rich from Atlanta. It's just because he really knows football. He's a smart guy, and he really rallies all the callers together.
So what is a typical day like leading up to the show? From when you get here to when you're going on air, what all has to happen?
Well, during the football season, it's a lot different. You know, during the football season, there's press conferences, there's games, there's previews, and we know that's what the fans really love. You know, so during the football season, every day we usually start like 10:30, meetings at 10:30. We have a small staff that comes in, works on, prepares whatever we kind of decide that the content should be. And for the next 4 hours, we kind of comb through the internet, find stories, talk to writers, get things together for that 4 hours.
If it was up to me, we would just roll in at 3 o'clock, turn the camera on, and start going.
And go? You are all for this reality TV thing, huh?
Yeah, all day long, just read, see what people are talking about. See, the key difference content-wise for the 4-hour show is Mark and I need to know the difference between what we want to talk about and what people want to talk about.
Sure.
You know, so we can't just show up and want to talk about Penn State winning the NIT last night. Well, I could have a conversation about that.
I knew he was going to bring that up at some point.
Hang the banner in the BJC.
How much involvement does Paul have leading up to the show?
A lot.
Yeah.
He sits with us all day long.
Right.
He could. Now he is someone, he could literally walk in here at 3 o'clock and do the show if he wanted to.
But he doesn't.
But he doesn't. He comes in early. He sits with us for more than 3 hours a day and makes sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah. That's where we build. That's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where it comes in, because if Paul's up here for 4 hours, you know, I mean, he's not sure. He can't read everything. He doesn't know the stories that come in. So he has to trust that what John and I are telling him in his ear is the truth. So, you know, you have that time before the show where we're sitting there, we're telling him what's going on, what we're going to do, and just trust us.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
That's true. Well, maybe.
Kind of.
Sometimes. Well, where do you see the show going?
It's just getting bigger and better. You know, college football, while it is regional, it's national too.
Yeah.
And the more people that you can bring in to have quality discussions, I think would only make the show better. And if you bring in people from the West Coast and from the Northeast and from the Midwest, bigger too.
To see where it goes, like John said, it's going to grow, but who else knows what we can add and do? More live shows on the road, that would be
great.
Yeah, you know, just being out, being in places and doing different things. The more people that are around, the more excited he gets, and the shows are better.
That's great. Plenty of possibilities, and you both do a great job, so keep it up.
No, thank you.
Thanks for hanging out. We'll get them to the control room. You guys be sure and tune in to check them out every Monday through Friday on The Finebaum Show, 3 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network.